Welcome into Texans Today, everybody. I'm your host, Jeremy Chuggs, and coming up on today's show, want to, reach out to you, my amazing Texans Today viewers, and get your questions. So I made a community post earlier this week, and all the questions you see here today are from you, the viewers of this show. And if you're asking yourself, hey, I want to get a question on the show, I want to get on the show, well, I'm going to give you the opportunity to do that right now. It's just 2 easy steps. First, you got to be subscribed to get on the mailbag, so go down there and hit that sub button and get daily Texans content for free. And secondly, go in the comment section, comment whatever your question is, and just use hashtag Texans at the beginning or end of your sentence. So you can say, hashtag Texans, how good is CJ Stroud? Is he just going to shit on the rest of the NFL? Then I'll be able to get that question and put it on our next mailbag. Easy as that. Got to be subscribed, and then use hashtag Texans in your comment down below. And without further ado, let's get started. Javier Horton 30 says, I can see the Texans average 30 points per game this year. What do you think about that offense? And I mean, that's a pretty high number, 30 points per game. I know it doesn't, sound very eye-popping, but that is, scoring more than 30 points in over half your game. So that's a really prolific offense. I think the Texans could manage that. Do they get to that 30-point mark? I'm not sure if they're able to do that. I think around the high 20s, like 28, 29, is more suitable, more, realistic for the Houston Texans. But hey, CJ Stroud in his second year, he has, from what he said, 5 number 1 wide receivers. I think this offense could be one of the best in the entire NFL. Next up, Travis Reed. Will the Texans have a higher-ranked offense or defense? This is a pretty interesting question because a lot of people are talking about this Texans offense. Obviously, C.J. Stroud in year 2. We added Stephon Diggs to now Tank Dell and Nico Collins, and then you also traded for Joe Mixon this offseason. I'd be hard-pressed to say the defense over the offense just because a couple question marks. I mean, don't get me wrong. You have the pass rush duo of Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson. Derek Stingley is out to prove that he is the number 1 cornerback in the NFL. I still give the slight edge to the offense on this one, even though DeMeco Ryans defensive head coach. So you'd think the defense, but I'm going to give a slight edge to the Texans offense. What say you, though? This is my turn to ask you the question. Will the Texans have a higher ranked offense or defense for this season? Let me know down in the comment section. Type O for offense, type D for defense, and as always, if you want to be an overachiever, let me know why you think that way. If you think the offense is going to be better for a certain reason, let me know. Or the defense, let me know that as well. I'll be looking down in the comments section. Next up, Mustafa Muhammad. What about defensive back Lonnie Johnson? Well, what about him, Mustafa? I'm just kidding. He's kind of buried on the depth chart right now, and I think, unfortunately for Lonnie, it might be a little bit of an uphill battle for him to make this roster. He's on the roster bubble. The Texans have 2 guys returning as starters from last season in Jalen Petrie and Jimmy Ward, and then they went out and selected Kalen Bullock in the 3rd round of this year's draft. They have guys like Eric Murray, MJ Stewart, who've contributed. They were hurt last year, but they contributed to this defense before. And then last year's 7th round pick in Brandon Hill. So for Lonnie Johnson Jr. to find his way on the roster, he has got to help in special teams. That's the only way he'll be able to make the final 53-man. This one coming in from Gage. Thanks for the question. What is something that worries you about this team? Good question, Gage. The thing that really worries me the most about this team, I would say the Texans' run defense. I mean, the Texans' offensive line, their health is up there as well, but this run defense, that's what really was the Achilles heel for this Texans defense last season and in the postseason against the Baltimore Ravens. They went out and signed Denico Autry, Foley Fatukasi, and they're putting a lot on Fatukasi to really man the middle of this defense, be that run stopper in the middle. They gave him $5 million on his contract this offseason in NFL free agency. Really hope that he can man the middle of this defense. The run defense is what really worries me about this Texans team. Obviously, you have 2 great pass rushers. I think you have a great corner as well. So the pass defense, I think, will take a step forward this season. But can the Texans stop the run? That is going to be the biggest, problem for this Texans defense heading into the 2024 season, in my opinion. Next up, Pierre Smith. Should the Texans release Robert Woods and Noah Brown due to being stacked up in the wide receiver room? Well, we've talked about multiple times on this program about the possibility of Robert Woods either being cut or traded, But Noah Brown is an interesting one. I came into the offseason thinking he was wide receiver 4, but maybe John Mechie kind of takes that spot from him. They re-signed him this offseason. I think it's obviously more likely for Robert Woods to get cut or traded, but Noah Brown has dealt with injuries for his entire NFL career. Even last season for the Houston Texans, he was oft injured. So if Noah Brown can't get healthy, there is a possibility that he doesn't even make this team if he's not able to get on the field, because the best ability is availability, and Noah Brown has had a problem with that throughout his NFL career. Now, I'm going to get to more of your questions in just a moment, but if you want to be the coolest Texans fan at the tailgate, if you want to rock the Houston Texans brand new logo out with your buddies at the bar, well, I got the link for you. Just go to chatsports.com/Texans hats. A bunch are on sale. I know this one's on sale, and I think I'm going to get this one right here, the white hat with the brand new secondary logo, all available right now at our link, chatsports.com/Texans hats. That's going to be available to you in the comment section and description of today's video. Go check it out today. Do some window shopping. Get a couple Texans hats. I know there's some that are on sale, so maybe go peruse. Maybe go see what hats are available for you for this offseason. It's getting hot. Summertime. It's here. So make sure you're putting on sunscreen and get some shade with a brand new Texans hat. Next up, sweet money. If Stroud is healthy, what's your stat predictions for him this year? Well, if he's healthy, I think he's going to improve on last year. I think he really will. I could see him getting, 4,300 yards, somewhere around that 30 to 32, 33, maybe even 34 passing touchdowns, and hopefully under 10 interceptions. That's my goal for him. If he can get around maybe 7, 8, 9 interceptions on the year, because he's going to eventually throw some. He was really good at protecting the football last season. If he's going to be throwing a lot more, that might come with a couple more picks. But I hope that he has under 10, and he can get, like I said, around that 33 touchdown mark for passing touchdowns. But what do you think? Will C.J. Stroud have more or less than 33.5 passing touchdowns on the season? Let me know down in the comment section. Type M for more, type L for less. What do you say? Predict it. Will he have more or less than 33.5 passing touchdowns on the season? Next up, Eric User 111. Which Texans receiver will have the most touchdowns at the end of the season? Another projection question from Eric. For this one, I'm going to say touchdowns. I might go with Diggs. I'm going to go touchdowns with Diggs. I'm going to go yards with Nico. And I think catches with Tank Dell. I think they all bring different skills to the table. Stephon Diggs, really good in the red zone, really good route runner in the red zone. I could see him connecting with C.J. Stroud on a lot of touchdowns. Nico Collins is a great deep threat, so I think he could lead the Texans receivers in yards. And then Tank Dell, he's a really good gadget player. I could see him getting a lot of easy catches on design, like, wide receiver sweeps where he comes across the formation, gets a little flip pass from C.J. Stroud. Really good in the screen game as well. I could see Tank Dell getting a lot of receptions, but touchdowns, I'll go with Stephon Diggs for that one. Next up, coming in from Coastal Texan, why is Mills still Stroud's backup? That's a good question. I think right now, they didn't add anybody, obviously. They feel really confident in C.J. Stroud. I made a video before. If you want to go check it out, it's right up here. I'm going to put the link for you right there about why the Texans could possibly sign Ryan Tannehill going into the training camp and preseason this season. I'm a little bit worried about the backup situation. I know, obviously, if Stroud gets hurt, everybody knock on wood if you're with me. Everybody knock on wood. If Stroud gets hurt, even if it's for like 2, 3, 4 games, I'm not the most confident in Davis Mills. I mean, they ended up starting Case Keenum over him last season. I really hope that they could maybe even keep Mills on the roster, transition Case to a coaching role possibly. I mean, I think that's where he could be best for the Houston Texans, and sign a guy like Ryan Tannehill to be an extra backup for more insurance. God forbid, concussion protocol, whatever, if CJ has to sit out a game. I would really like to upgrade that backup position. I don't know why Mills is still the backup. I know the Texans, they like him, but they also didn't start him over Case Keenum last year. So I'll have to see what happens in training camp in the preseason. Lastly, Cam Productions. What would you do for the Texans to win the Super Bowl next season? I would run a half marathon. I would run a half marathon right now, shirtless, only, banana hammock on, rocking with the Texans banana hammock on. I would do that. I would, I do a lot of things for a Texans Super Bowl this year. The Texans are, I believe, the only professional sports franchise in the state of Texas to not win their championship yet. So I'm really pulling for the Texans this year. They have not made it to a Super Bowl in their franchise history. So this could be the year. The stars are aligning. I'm very hopeful for this team this year. I would do a lot. What would you do, Cam, for a Texans Super Bowl win this year? Let me know down in the comment section the crazy stuff that y'all would do. As always, if you want to continue the conversation, go follow me on Twitter. And speaking of my Twitter, I got to give these people some shout outs because they've been sharing my videos on Twitter. They're absolute real ones, and I got to show some love to these guys. Rhino Jimenez, Jesus Montoya, Keith Bohannon, and Adam Martinez. I appreciate y'all from the bottom of my heart really supporting me, supporting this channel. It means a lot. It does not go unnoticed. So thank you guys so much for going out and sharing my videos on social media, trying to get my social media presence up just a little bit. And as always, like I said at the beginning, if you want to join one of our future mailbags, you got to be subscribed. And plus, you get free daily Texans content. So I don't really see the downside here. Why don't you go down and hit that sub button right now?